Our first speaker of the day is Ria Javeri. Ria is a junior at Frisco Heritage High School, and she became a TEDx speaker to pursue her passion of speaking to audiences and loves the platform that TEDx provides. The topic of her speech explores the concept of opportunity FOMO, or struggling to say no. She chose this topic because it's something many people struggle with often, and without even knowing, Ria hopes that through her speech, she can positively impact someone's life who may face this challenge. In her own life, she's passionate about fine arts, which grew through her many years of playing flute, piano, and dancing. She also loves public speaking, which brought her to work heavily in activities like debate, mock trial, and Mana UN. After high school, she plans to pursue an undergraduate degree in business and followed by law school. She aspires to be a corporate lawyer, specifically working in mergers and acquisitions. So please, give a warm welcome to Ria Javeri.
It was the summer of 2025. I was sitting beside a Starbucks with soft jazz music in the background. Around me, people were talking. Some on dates, others on hangouts. But in front of me, my laptop sat open. It was open to a spreadsheet. Job applications, passion projects, internships, just staring back at me. And as I saw the tabs on my screen multiply from 5 to 20 in a matter of seconds, I felt my heart beat. Just a little faster. I've always known what FOMO, the fear of missing out, felt like, but this was different. I wasn't afraid of missing out, but rather, I was afraid of choosing. And the craziest part is when I went home and I researched that uneasy feeling, I realized I wasn't alone. Have you ever struggled to say no? Every volunteering opportunity, you're there. Every club you join and every project, your hand is in the air, ready to participate. But it's not because you're genuinely interested and passionate, but rather you're afraid of what might just happen if you let go of that potential life-changing decision. Now, psychologists have labeled this phenomenon as opportunity FOMO. When you feel the need to say yes to everything, to not feel left behind or pick a wrong pathway. I mean, if a person takes one specific decision or one pathway, there's always a possibility of losing a better one. So instead, they say yes to everything. And at first glance, it may seem productive, even in our role, being the most reliable in the room. But keeping every door open comes at a cost that we rarely talk about. And dissatisfaction is the first cost, and that was explored by psychologist Barry Schwartz in his book, The Paradox of Choice. Why more is sometimes less. He found that when faced with numerous decisions, people actually tend to be less satisfied with the final decision that they make. He distinguishes maximizers, which make about 10% of the population, with satisfiers, who are the vast majority of us. Maximizers are those who are burdened with opportunity FOMO, and through the study of them, he found numerous detrimental effects. When faced with an abundance of choices, people face a psychological phenomenon. Choice overload, where too many choices leads to poor decision-making skills. In fact, in a cross-selection study, it was found that 60% of people have admitted taking on more tasks than they can handle. Now, go ahead, look around. It doesn't affect us, right? That's 3 out of 5 people in this room at this exact moment. And Decision Lab found that when people realize that their overcommitting doesn't reach the perfect outcome, they are less satisfied. But that's only one effect of opportunity FOMO. It can always flip the switch and go to the other end of the spectrum. Decision paralysis, where those choices are so overwhelming that a person can't choose at all. But poor decision-making skills isn't the only effect of opportunity FOMO. It has mental health impacts as well. Psychology today found that anxiety is one of the primary implications of opportunity FOMO. The indecisiveness of making a decision, picking a pathway, that can be hard, right? exercise. It causes resentment and poor decision-making skills and a lack of focus to keep up with all those commitments. Ultimately, the inability to make those decisions, keep up with those decisions, can lead to decision fatigue. The mental exhaustion from making those decisions, keeping up with those decisions. It can lead to procrastinating even the easiest of works and brain fog, which is the long-term sense of burnout. The options are laid out, but eventually you need to realize that sometimes less is more. But opportunity FOMO isn't just something that's caused, and there's numerous key reasons to why people say yes to everything. And the biggest aspect that I've realized is social comparison, because seeing everyone else have their life together only makes us feel more and more behind. Throughout my sophomore year of high school, I was a victim of opportunity FOMO. Every decision I made wasn't for myself, but to prove I was equally as good as others. I constantly looked left and right, but never to the center and to myself in making a decision. Because every decision I made wasn't for myself. It was to prove I was equally as good as others. And eventually, I had a job, I had band, I had dance, I had extracurriculars, academics, the list goes on and on. To the point where I didn't have an adequate amount to sleep. Important investments were now neglected just because I refused to say no. And that's the exact burden opportunity FOMO causes. But social comparison isn't the only reason people say yes to everything. Perfectionism also feels the need to say yes because having all those options laid out combined has to make it perfect, right? The Harvard Business Review found that imposter syndrome is another key reason to why opportunity FOMO happens. Victims are constantly doubting their skills, but instead of just doing other aspects to feel an internal sense of peace and success, they combine it with tasks. They replace that internal piece of success and feel it by adding on more to their plate, making them feel more behind. It's ironic, right? But altogether, it's not just seen in an academic perspective. You can see it culturally, socially as well. Even the media feels the need to say yes to everything. Have you ever heard of a limited time offer or once-in-a-lifetime deal? In reality, it's just consumerism building. But the thing we don't realize and we fail to realize is the exact fuel to the fire is opportunity FOMO itself. The options are laid out and we decide to go through every single door just to feel that sense of momentarily happiness. But luckily, it is possible to just shut one of those doors and only keep one open. While it may seem simple, it does take intentional commitment. That's exactly what the National Institute of Health found. The intentional commitment theory can ease people out of making conflicting decisions and let go of that struggle to choose. It is a 5-step process which we can summarize today using focus. F. Find your values and list them out. O. Outline your purpose, and if you're struggling to choose just one, make a pro and con list. C. Commit to fewer things and intentionally say no. It's important to differentiate when you're doing something because you truly want it or there's some other internal or external reason. U. Use your time wisely. Make to-do lists that are productivity-based while still not neglecting yourself. And lastly, as cliche as it sounds, it's the most simple one. Stay present. Find joy and beauty in the moment and let some of the future remain unknown. Not only a year ago, I was a victim of opportunity FOMO. Every decision I made wasn't for myself, but to prove I was equally as good as others. But you know, not only a year ago, I became a student of intentional commitment. I made many difficult decisions like quitting my job to focus on my productive and intentional pathway. And the crazy part is, for the first time in a while, I sensed a sense of relief when I looked at my spreadsheet that only had 3 tasks, not 20. Because you know, for the first time in a while, I found that rather than looking to my peers or looking to my future, I could look to myself and know I was living an intentional life. quality over quantity, less is more. So the next time you see many doors open, just remember, contentment doesn't come from the many doors, but by being able to walk through one of them. Thank you.
Let's speak.